billion on data centers. All right? That's big. That's a lot of data. That's a whole, can y'all say that with me? That's a whole bunch of data. 500 billion. I mean, come on now. That's a lot of data, right?
Yeah.
Right? So because it learns off of data, then what it does is this. Once it gets the data, it finds patterns in the data. All right, I think that's how you spell patterns. If I can't spell it right now, y'all don't worry about all that, all right? I'm just letting y'all know. Sometimes it comes and sometimes it goes. But it's all right. I can talk, all right? It basically identifies patterns, all right? So all the data, then it identifies the patterns, okay? Y'all with me? For example, let's say I had 10,000 apples. And now we know apples come in red, green, yellow. We got all these different types of apples. So if we show artificial intelligence all these apples, it's going to say, wow, apples are red, or apples are green, apples are yellow. They have a stem in it. And then if it identifies something to be an apple and it's not, then it learns from the patterns. It basically learns, so it practices, right? It practices. It practices based on the data that we've given it, giving us different examples of the patterns, and if a pattern is wrong or an example is wrong, we tell it, no, that's not an apple, that's an orange, and then it will go back and it gets smarter and smarter and smarter based on the information that we teach. Y'all follow me?
Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, AI cannot think. We train it. We train it. So, that's good to know, right? Now, let me ask you this. If you only was given half of a story, you'd have what's called a small world, right? You know why? Because you're only given half of the information, the data. You only know so much. It's not accurate. It's not enough. But it is what it is because that's all the info that you have. If you grew up in a certain community, if you grew up in a certain country, you learn different cultures, you learn different things within that community, within that information. That's all you know. So it's a small world. But if you got trained on all the data, then you have what's called a big world. Because now you can make better decisions based on more information. True enough? Okay, so since we agreed about that, believe it or not, we have China training their entire country on their data. We have Europe training their people on their data. We have India. So all these countries have different LLMs. What are they teaching? So that's how biases can actually be created. Because you only have so much information and so much data that you can train on. And if you're trained on a certain amount of data, then you will form a bias based on a limited amount of information. True enough? Just like individuals, right? We grew up in certain communities or raised by certain individuals. We're like, hey, don't mess with them, because that's all they know. So it's same with the data that's being trained. So that's why AI has what we call hallucinations. It actually can hallucinate and it can tell us things that are not real. It doesn't exist, but it really believes it is, and if you're not careful, you'll start believing it. So you gotta question everything. So y'all repeat after me. Question everything. Have y'all seen what we have been witnessing online?
Yeah.
With these videos?
I know.
VEO3? These videos look perfectly real, like they just came out of Hollywood, right? So we have to question everything. We're living in a different place. So let me ask you this question though.
I have one more question.
Yes.
About the biases.
Yes.
So is that Is that why it's important to make sure we have a well-rounded group of people putting in the data?
Oh, yes. Oh, so important. Because let me ask you this, who would you want training your AI?
Right.
And everybody should ask themselves.
So we're saying like at the beginning of the tech boom and everything, because there wasn't a lot of different ethnicities or whatever, it wasn't even recognizing us as people.
That's correct.
Yep.
That's correct. And the biases are still there within the AI. If you ask for certain images, you'll see biases come up all the time. You're like, wait a second here.
Right.
That ain't me. Right? And it just happens because that's the data that it's been trained on, and we already know the history of the United States.
Right.
So you can only imagine the type of bias in the data that it's being trained on that they're calling as real.
Right.
That ain't gonna work. So that's why it's important that as you continue to communicate with it and use it, you know, just keep that in mind. Let me make sure I put the right information in, because as you continue to train, because you're literally gonna be training your own AI.
Yeah.
Alright? But yeah, that's important, right? So that's something that you should definitely, I can't say fear, because we don't fear anything, right? We don't fear, but just know that it's possible, alright? So that's what AI is. Alright, so we're gonna turn it back over here, because we need to see it in action. Any other questions? Is this okay? Is this alright? Y'all learned something so far? Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you. We just getting started.
You want to turn your camera?
Oh, come on now, you're supposed to be my camera woman. She's like, I did not sign up for that. All right, so here we are. What is AI? So AI learns from what? Data. Two. And it basically identifies what? Two. Patterns. And then thirdly, it does what?
Hallucinates.
It predicts. He said it hallucinates. It tricks, right?
Right.
Yeah, it predicts. So that's the other one, predicts. Alright? So the predictions can be wrong. And if it's wrong, that's when we correct it and say, no, this is actually an apple, and then it goes back. So believe it or not, EVs, electronic vehicles, there are millions of them out there on the road today. And with Tesla, the way that they have been taken over is that they've been training these electronic vehicles over the decades with our information that we've been putting it in. And when they make a mistake, for example, if they're driving down the street and a dog goes over and they run it over, they'll tell that EV, hey, that's a dog. You can't do that. And then that one car will then take that information and download it to all the other cars in one area. Just everybody's got the right information now. And it's constantly learning like that, okay? So it's important to know that. Now, let me ask you a question. When it comes to artificial intelligence, there's something called a adoption curve. It's a technology adoption curve. And we all are on that curve one way or another. And what is it? It's this. In the beginning of the curve, we have what we call the innovators. Okay? Innovators, ladies and gentlemen, they're the risk takers. They're the ones that are tech savvy. They're the ones that, you know, they have the money. They basically can afford to not even succeed in this project because they have enough funding, which is what, you know, most businesses need, but they ain't worried about the money. They just there to innovate. And once they get it right, then we get it. Make sense? It's the innovators. Then we have what's called the early adopters. Now, these early adopters are individuals who are basically beta testers. You know what I'm saying? They're the ones that say, hey, you know what? I'll take that new iPhone. I don't even need to worry about what's gonna happen with it. I'm just gonna test it out to see if it works. And I'll go through all the different phases of it and find all the bugs, and eventually I'm like, cool, I love this technology. Or any new tech, you're like, hell, I can't wait to try it out. So you consider what we like to call an early adopter. Then we have what's called the early majority. And they're the ones that come in once the early adopter says it's good, and they're like, hey, since they're doing it, I'll do it, right? So you have the majority of the people now driving around in these new cars, these EVs. You're starting to see a lot more. Well, they're early majority. They're like, hey, I'm still first. I ain't last. I'm still there. And then we have the late majority. Now, late majority, ladies and gentlemen,
It's me.
they're like, hey, you know what?
It's me.
I'm late. I knew I should have bought Bitcoin when it was $1,000.
I did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I knew it. So you're not a late majority. You early. You got Bitcoin early. That's good stuff. I seen Bitcoin. Who's seen Bitcoin early? I've seen it. I seen it.
2013, I heard about 2014. I actually saw someone messing around, and I didn't get involved.
You didn't get involved?
I didn't get involved either. I said, I'm not buying Mario coin. What are you talking about? I did. But I was offered it in 2011, I think.
You were? Wow. Imagine that, right? See, but that goes to show you, depending on where you come into this wave, this adoption curve, can really depend on who's going to really make the most or profit the most. But obviously, there's some risk there, obviously, because there's no guarantees, right? But when it comes to technology, there's a pattern with it. And then finally, we have the laggards. You know what those are, right? They're like, I ain't touching it. I don't care what you tell me. I ain't stopping. Go and give me a notebook and a pen and let me take my notes. Oh, is that you over there? There's the laggards, right? So, question, where do you fall in this adoption curve? This technology adoption curve. We got any innovators in the room?
I'm a 3.5.
Any innovators? Come on, we may have some. We don't know yet. We early, right? What about early adopters? How many early adopters we got? We got
When you say innovators, you're talking about, you said risk takers based off of those who have the desire to make it better or take the risk on creating the technology, right?
Yeah. You like a whole
So you're a one? You're a one?
No, I don't want to create the technology. That's
You
just,
don't want to create? Okay.
no, I'm an early adopter.
Okay, so you're early adopter. So we got 3 early adopters. What about early majority? Okay, we got 1 early majority. Okay, that's good.
I'm probably at 2.5. Yeah.
So you're 2.5.
Yeah.
So you in between the early adopter and the early majority.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I
Late
hear about
majorities?
it.
Any late majorities? Okay, so we got a late over there. You're late majority too. And late
You're
laggers?
4.5?
Late laggers?
Yeah, I'm getting weaned into the late majority because everyone keeps telling me this is out of date, so.
I see. Hey, it works though, right?
It works.
Come on now.
Until it doesn't.
Until it doesn't.
When you leave that notebook at home,
You need
That's
you
that.
ain't got nothing.
That's the part for me. It's like I need to be able to run whatever immediately to you without finding a notebook.
That's true. That's true.
But check it out though. She takes all her notepads and put it into her AI. She has way faster AI than you guys do.
And that's what I.
Just like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you would have to upload it to the AI. Mine's already there. I'm so
That's
slow.
when she's ready.
That's good. That's good. So we are all falling in different categories when it comes to this thing called technology, you see? And that's a good thing. Because right now, since you guys are here at Smart AI workshops and you are dealing with AI made simple, you guys are all early right now, by the way. You would be considered early adopters. If you're using ChatGPT, you're an early adopter. Because it's only been in existence for 2 years.
And we've been using it for 2 years.
Right.
Come on now.
At least one.
Give yourselves a hand. Stop playing. Stop playing. Stop playing. Come on. You early. You early. You're so early. You're so early.
What are
Because-
they missing that?
Because OpenAI introduced ChatGPT in November of 2022. So what was they doing while we were locked in the house during COVID? They was building work.
They built it.
They was building something, right? Everybody's all scared. We ain't looking at Wi-Fi. What is it? Was it 5G?
And they built it when we were
Yeah,
all using
5G.
Right? 5G, right?
Our highest peak was during COVID, so
Right.
that's collective data.
Right? So imagine that. So OpenAI, they brought ChatGPT to the world in November of 2022. And I've been sprung ever since. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
We have this thing called ChatGPT, a smart assistant, because previously I had to, like most of us, website copy. You'd have to write it yourself, right? Or hire someone to write the copy for you.
Yeah.
That can be quite expensive,
Yeah.
you know? I remember the first recession we had back in 2007 and 2008. I was in the mortgage industry. I was a sales manager for a mortgage company, and I had about 15 employees. And once the bubble bursted, I seen everything happening, right? So I'm like, you know what? I gotta try to figure out how to keep these cars in the house. So I was like on the roof trying to figure it out, and everything was going. Knocking on the door, let me get your car. We gotta move back to San Bernardino. The house is gone too, right? So I'm like, okay, what I'm gonna do? I got a family to support. So I pivoted back into my tech. Because I always had a finger on technology, although I had other skill sets, but I've always had tech in my life. So I started building online courses. So I'll build a course out, and I'm like, great, I used to get paid doing web funnels. So creating funnels, everybody know what a funnel is, right? All right, if you guys don't know what a funnel is, that's 2010 language, okay? It's called a funnel, all right? That's how we get leads, all right? We all need a funnel. And then all of a sudden, ChatGPT came around. And now I was realizing that the things that I was spending 30 days, 60 days to do, I could get done in seconds and hours and days and minutes. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is really saving my time.
I've never built a website. Sorry for you guys building them in between planes. You're building them every day. Like, what the heck?
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's so very, very great to be alive in this current season. And skills, you have to increase your skill sets. And by coming here, learning this, doing this, it's a part of that. You know what I mean? I named my company Smart AI Workshop, and the abbreviation is SAW, SAW. And if you remember, I read a book, it was Think and Grow Rich. They were talking about a story of two lumberjacks. They went out and they had a contest of who would cut down the most trees in a single day. And one of the lumberjacks spent all of his morning sharpening his saw. He cut down more trees, he was more successful, and basically the moral of the story is you have to take time to sharpen your saw, because that's going to allow you to work smarter and not as hard, right? So I look at this stuff as sharpening your digital saw. You're getting it ready. Because what's going to happen is once you're set and you press that button, you're going to be off to the races. And you're like, wow, I'm so creative.
I like what you did there, though. I got the visual you was giving with that story. That was
Thank you very
good.
much. Thank you.
Yeah.
I worked on that.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. And story, by the way, is something that's people understand story. And as sales ladies and men, story is how we bring people into our world. And as businesses, you have what's called a brand story. And that's what you're going to be developing over the years. Once you identify that brand story, you're going to be able to bring it into everything that you do. And I've got a way to use AI in order to help you really just tighten it up. Yes?
I can relate to that story with the sharpening saws because I'm a chef. And a dull knife is very dangerous and it doesn't work. You get that knife sharpened, if it's dull, you're doing this and this and this, and danger can happen, and you just overwork.
Yep.
And your tool sharpened,
Yep.
it works.
Yep. So this is sharpening your digital saw. So welcome all the innovators and all the early adopters and all of the late majorities, but all of your early adopters. So I'm excited to have you. So I'm going to go in and we're going to share some things. I'm going to do some demos with you on things that I've discovered about chat. Now, I heard you guys have already been using chat for a couple of years. So, you guys might be able to teach me a little something too. But, hey. We gonna learn together.
Not all of us. I only heard about it this January, so I'm late to the game. It
No,
was
you
out 2 years ago.
You're so early. You're so early. You're so early. There's so many different things that are happening. And the thing about technology, and I'm sure you guys who have been using it, you can get into this thing called a rabbit hole. And it's like every day something new. And you're like, oh, how did I learn that? Just like, whoever built websites, they changed the HTML coding during web development. One night, I was like, okay, well, how do I put an image, just a video into a website? And it was like you had to go through a whole bunch to do it. And then WordPress came into the world. WordPress made it so much faster, right? Now everything's just drag and drop. You don't even have to have no skill sets, and you still can make it happen. But that's what's happening with tech as well. It's moving real quick. So I want you to meet the AI employee. All right? What is an AI employee? All right? An AI employee can do a lot of different things for you. It can, it's a tool, and it can help you automate tasks, enhance customer engagement, and even boost productivity. All right? If you want to test it out, go ahead and dial that number. 866-271-2677. Everybody pull out the phone, dial that number. All right, just dial the number. That's my.
Somebody put it on speaker.
Yeah, please put it on speaker.
I ain't doing it.
She's like, I ain't calling that number. Ain't no telling what's on the other end. That guy is a techie.
Hey, it's a beautiful day at Smart AI Workshop. How can I help you?
Talk to her.
Hi, I need some assistance.
Of course, I'd be happy to help. Can I start by getting your name?
Sure, Sandra.
Just to make sure I've got it right, your name is Sandra. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great, Sandra. Could you please share your email address with me?
They already asked them too many questions.
A.
Keep talking to her.
info@thedocumentpro.
Just to make sure I've got it right, your email address is info@THEDOCUMENTPRO.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. What's the issue you're facing today, Sandra?
I need my bills paid.
Got it. I'll make sure a team member reaches out to you soon to help with that. Would you be interested
What?
in scheduling a demo of our AI employee strategy session?
Yes.
Perfect. I'll send you a text message with the booking calendar for your convenience. Thanks for reaching out, Sandra. Have a great day.
Wow.
So that's your AI assistant helper? Can I get one of those? I have a cleaning company. Can I get And I keep dropping the ball because sometimes I'm answering my phone in times that I don't need to, but I want people to feel like they're heard or they're Is that something that I can get with the AI?
Yep, you sure can. Now, what happened?
It followed up with a text message.
Okay.
Hi, thanks for calling Smart AI Workshops. This is an example of the kind of follow-up we do. We can do after each call. Reply, no to stop things. LDI, AI, automation agency.
Nice.
Oh, then it says more. Are you interested in seeing how an AI employee could add revenue in your business? Shantae. Are you interested in seeing
That's
how
me.
an AI employee could add revenue in your business?
That's me. All right. That's a form of automation. Okay? And that's what I'm talking about, having a smart assistant. Now, that's 24 hours, 7 days a week. But not only did it gather your information because it's a lead connector, I can look at my phone and it texts me right now and say, hey, you know what? Somebody just called. Here's their name and number and hear exactly what the conversation was.
See, that's was gonna be my next question. If AI picks up the call, will it route the message to either your website, like a contact page, or to an email, or to yourself?
It notified me and said you called, and it's got all the transcribed of the conversation. And then it followed up with you and I ain't pick up my phone. And then it's gonna continue to follow up until you
Push stop.
book an appointment. It's not gonna bug you. It ain't gonna be like, hey, I found you now. I told you we collect data. We got you, Sandra. No, it won't do that. But how many business owners are missing calls that are costing them money?
Well, I was just thinking on Friday, I turned on my business phone, I charged it overnight, and when I turned it on, there were 22 voicemails. 22 from, I don't know where, because they were delayed, like they were all stuck somewhere and then they all showed up. I was on the phone all day Friday calling 22 people back.
Wow.
Because I was like, that's $22,000 to $30,000 right there, and each person wanted to pay me for a service.
You see what I'm saying?
So I had to call all those people that get to me all day.
See what I'm saying? And imagine if you had a service like that, could you do that?
You know, sorry, didn't get the message for some reason, it just showed, you know, you gotta explain all this stuff.
And if it would have been an emergency, let's say you would have said, hey, let me speak to somebody. You would have said, hold on, Sandra. Let me get the manager on the line. And then my phone would have rang. And I'd have picked up, hey, what's going on?
Oh, if I kept saying speak with someone.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
Speak with
You
someone.
said it once. It's gonna transfer me to myself or somebody else on my team. They'll get it, and then you'll get an email and a text, and that's just the power of automation. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, well, depending on how you use it. Because I went to a restaurant the other day and pulled up. It was a restaurant. I mean, it was Jack in the Box, but I pulled up. When I pulled up, you know, they said, we're practicing. We're an AI assistant, and we are taking orders. And you know, be patient with us. They told me.
Yeah,
Have y'all heard that yet?
I have. Yeah.
I feel like
It made me mad.
Me too.
What I don't like about AI, because a lot of companies now use it, sometimes you really do need to talk to somebody.
Exactly.
And it'll just keep rerouting you back into the system where you never really get to talk to anybody. And so I'm just thinking for people who are elderly, who need support, they can't get the support because the AI is just running them through the whole, you know, it's like there's no way to get out of the AI piece.
That's true.
With a lot of companies, they just keep you locked into the AI and you're just kind of stuck, you don't get anything accomplished. That's the
No, that's so true. And it's not for everybody. And the good thing is you can turn it on and turn it off. You turn it off during your operation hours, and then you turn it on when you're away. And, you know, it works. It works. And that's just an example. The beauty is it can be trained on any knowledge base that you want. So, for example, if you'd have kept asking questions about AI, artificial intelligence, hey, tell me a little bit more about your company, it would have went into